In the previous video, we took a closer look at the types of functions there are, and we differentiated between aggregate and non-aggregate or scalar functions. And we even saw an example of it with concat. Now, I didn't want to leave you hanging with this whole aggregate function business and not show you some of the aggregate functions that are available. So over here, you see I've listed some out for you, and they're very reminiscent of math class. Basically, you have functions that can do calculations on a set of data. And so we have average, which can calculate the average. We have count, which will literally count the amount of rows that are available. We have min and max that will select the highest or lowest value in a data set. And we have sum that will calculate the sum of the values. And so I wanted to show you how some of these work before we get into some exercises. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go over to Valentina Studio and I want to figure out how many people are actually working in our company. So let's go over to the employees database. All right, so here we are back in Valentina Studio and we have the employees database open. And so inside of the employees database, we have a bunch of tables and we have the employees table. And so, like I said, we want to know how many people are actually working at this company. So let's go ahead and write a query to do that. And as you saw between our aggregate functions, we have the method count. So let's do that. Select count, and let's count the employee number. It doesn't really matter what you're going to count because all of the records are going to be counted in the table. And so we're just going to take all of the employee numbers and just generate a count of how many employees there are. So let's select that from employees. And let's see what happens. So if we execute that, we can see we have 300,024 people working for our company. That's a whole lot of people that we are supplying money to. Wow. So that's a big company right there. All right. So over here, you can see very simple. We did select count, which is an aggregate function. We counted the employee number from employees. And so you can do the same with sum, min, max, average, depending on the data set that you're using. You don't want to use these quote unquote math functions that are min and max against something that will not generate a meaningful value. We can, for instance, select the minimum employee number and we'll get the lowest employee number, which is 10,001. And then we'll know what is the max employee number, and that's 499,999. Okay, great. Doesn't tell me very much, just gives me the min or max employee number. So it really depends on the set of data you're operating against. So what I want to do now is I want to dive into some exercises around aggregate functions. And so I want you to get me the highest salary available. And I also want you to get me the total amount of salaries paid. So feel free to pause the video right here. And when you come back, we'll solve it together. All right. So I hope that went smoothly for you. So let's hop back into Valentina Studio and get the highest salary available. If you look at our database, we have this salaries table. And that salaries table has a field called salary. So if we wanted to get the max salary, we would select the maximum salary from salaries. And what that will do is it will look through the entire data set of the column salary and get us the highest value available. And so the person that's being paid the most makes $158,220. That's a lot of money right there. All right. Our next question was to get the total amount of salaries paid. So how much are we spending every year on these 300,000 people's salaries? Well, for that, let's do the sum of salary. Let's execute it. Oof. Well, we would need to format this number because I'm going to have a hard time reading it. But it is a lot of money. Let's try to do this. So 3, that's a million. And then another 3, so 480 million. So 181,480,757,419, if that's correct. Whew, that's quite a bit of money that we're paying to these people. So you can see how powerful these aggregate functions can be. And you can use them in a multitude of scenarios. But the most important thing to note here is that while it's useful, it also has to be used in good scenarios to give you meaningful answers.